in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I said the end, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I don't fully straight apply. Or when I'm stand up for the stone, I live my life. Been east to rich when east and they stick when I make it fast. But the smoothies never bad for me, my dough is still for thighs. I'm the horn, niggas know they cute too, I keep out the bone. But let's get it, you know my me, you miss be up the shown. And when I see a nigga smile, you will stay up front. And if they got me, know then I, you know I did the con. You up the icon, I see the fact. This scene I'm easy, but I hate I wake, so what I pack. I keep a searing in the rain, then I smoke as crash. And if I get, I'll keep a far. No planet, yeah. Taking trash to the sky from my leasing to living. All the flu on the blame that resenting you ribbon. Jacks kicking out of love, I might never be willing. Bitch, you'll never know what you I can never forget. Tune in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I 7 in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, you know by now it's on the line of people, but you never know this name, it's Kanana sequel. Speaking fresh, taking down, so decide the needle. Put down, stay the time to line like you want the needles. And if you hate when I like the brown, it's like your cam in the ground till they coming out. But like I'm so fresh up and through the moves confused. And now I know what's up and noon and that was all for you. Say you never lose, stakes is native hurricane. I was go do, he's not a like a bagel, drink your face. But I was thinking to his soul when y'all was by the cover. And now I rain, man, I ain't like the make whatever. I say complain, flame mine, you gay, ain't no restriction. This nap so hard, go within and never missing. Convinced that you need love me now, but sure never tripping. It's the enemies it's all, boy, yo come and get tripping. Tune in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream. Yeah, I say the in, vibe high, it's GPTV1. Live stream the trends, let the exploration run. Hip hop beats, we're on the scene. Catch the buzz, live your dream.
What up, though, fam? Back in the building for another one. I want to welcome y'all to GPTV1 live stream. And I'm excited as usual as I dive into these trending topics that's been popping off this week. It's the Friday vibe. I'm feeling good and I'm happy. I'm always happy to perform for the audience. Welcome to the GPTV1 live stream. And in this live stream, we're going to be covering the Diddy stuff. I came live earlier, but I already had this scheduled for this evening just to cap things off. And I want to cover the Pastor Ricky Floyd thing. The woman involved in that case went to court, and do some update on Antoine Massey. You can follow me on social media. I am on X, formerly known as Twitter, and you can catch me on Instagram. And this is also live on Twitch. So I'm trying to get my Twitch cracking. And before we get to all that, welcome to the GP Inner Circle. Public announcement. GP fam, I'm excited to announce that the GP membership is now officially active. This is your chance to step up and show your support in a way that truly matters. By joining the Inner Circle, you will unlock exclusive perks tailored just for the most dedicated supporters, because you deserve nothing less. But that's not all. The Super Chat feature is now live, giving you an even greater opportunity to engage with me and the community in real time. Your support fuels my passion and creativity, inspiring me to deliver the kind of fire content that only the GP fam deserves. So why wait? Join the GP membership today and be a part of something special. Let's elevate this community together, because when you thrive, we all thrive. Welcome to the Inner Circle. Your journey starts now. Much love. Yeah, I'm back, fam, and I do have some videos loaded up for memberships only. So So you can sign up over there if you want to see those videos, and I'm gonna start loading content up on that. And I probably gotta take a couple of days off because I'm working on another documentary, and it's a full-length documentary, and it's gonna take some time to put it together. So I want to take a couple of days and start working on it. I'm working on the beginning of it, the intro or stage one. Hope y'all got something cold to drink. Grab your snacks. Roll you up something if you got to, if you're into that. Other than that, take a chill pill. And like I said, we're going to dig into Diddy, Pastor Ricky Floyd, and Antoine Massey. And this woman right here is caught up on this case right now. And it's crazy, man. It's really a shame. This is a well-known pastor, and this woman been locked up ever since then. So she's going to have to fight this case behind bars. But I want to look at a little bit of an update on this woman right here. Woman charged with Pastor Ricky Floyd's death. Let's get into that and look at an update on that. Let me share my screen. Hold on, let me go back here. I need to go here. All right, let me share my screen. See what's popping with this.
This is News Channel 3 at 4.
Topping your news leader first at 4, the woman charged in connection with the deadly shooting of Memphis pastor Ricky Floyd earlier this year was back in court this morning for a preliminary hearing. This would determine if the case moves forward. Thank you for joining us. I'm April Thompson.
I'm Alex Coleman. In the end, the judge decided there was enough evidence to continue. WREG's Jarita Patterson with what's new and with what's next.
The wheels of justice are continuing to turn at 201 Poplar in the case of Samantha Marion. 84 days after it's alleged she shot and killed Pastor Ricky Floyd. From the beginning, she has called this a case of self-defense, but prosecutors argue otherwise. There was a preliminary hearing Wednesday here inside Judge Taylor Batchelor's courtroom. This would determine if there is enough evidence to move forward. Only one witness took to the stand, a responding officer who was dispatched here to Mama's Bar and Grill in South Memphis. Before hearing from that officer, those in the courtroom heard the 911 call made by the woman who was charged with the deadly attack. Take a listen. Floyd was unable to survive his gunshot injury as he was pronounced dead at the scene. In court, listening to every disturbing detail from that fateful night were friends and family of Floyd who were seated roughly 20 feet from the accused. The court asked we not show them. Marion not only having to face a judge, but the victim's loved ones, to include longtime friend and state lawmaker Antonio Parkinson.
It's sad and unfortunate, that we're here because of all of the emotion that happens in these situations. It alters lives, unfortunately.
Marion's defense attorney had the chance to question the witness.
Investigating homicides. Do you have any experience as a detective? Detective work in the name.
At the conclusion of that witness, the judge called for a brief recess, coming back with a decision the case would move forward.
But for today's purpose, I will find there's probable cause for voluntary manslaughter.
They have the ability to present it to grand jury, and we have to wait and see what the grand jury does.
As you heard from the judge, there was probable cause for the voluntary manslaughter charge. Samantha Marion hopped on the elevator, flanked by family members, as she will remain free on the $100,000 bond. A story we'll continue covering in order to keep you updated. Reporting for your news leader inside the CJC, Jarita Patterson, WREG, News Channel 3.
Okay, I thought she was still locked up, but obviously she's out on bond. And that lawyer right there is who won that case with those police officers. He was also worked on that case with the Renz and Wright case, but he lost that one. He won that case with those police officers. And now he's working on this case. I didn't know she was out on bond. I was like, dang, how her hair did up like that? And she locked up or whatever. But yeah, this woman right here, and that was a tragic situation. And I think it's going to be hard for her to beat this case, this self-defense thing, because they had witnesses that saw this, and they saw people got in between them. And the guy, she pulled out the gun, he started backing up, and she fired it or whatever. But that's the alleged story that what happened, and they got video tape of all of that too, the whole incident. But it's still a sad situation. I really think they was arguing over religion. You know, if you get to talking about religion, that can become a real argument. Like, people really want to fight over those scriptures and all of that. And when you look at scriptures and people got their own interpretations of all that. So, yeah, that's what I think the argument, personally, what I thought it was about. But she crashed out on that one, so I got to give her a car crash for that. Crank that up. So I had to give her a car crash for that one. But he was a beloved guy. And that guy, Antonio Parkinson, he had a record label way back in the day where he was producing artists. And I had the chance to interview him. I probably was one of the first people ever interviewed him. He turned his beat down. Yeah, I probably was the first person that ever interviewed that guy. But he's some type of politician. Even when I got into the radio stuff about 20 years ago, you know, that station used to have a lot of politicians around there. So salute to that guy who had that radio station and gave me a shot and taught me how to broadcast. I see a couple of people in the building. You stepping in, please click that like button. I appreciate it. We're talking about this Pastor Ricky Floyd case. And we're also going to talk about Antoine Massey. I did a video on that. Y'all can go back and check that one out. And I got to shout out to PDQ. PDQ just been lighting it up lately. You know, they've been getting the top views over the past month, literally. I think they about to cross that 10,000 mark. So, yeah, I'm creeping up on my first 1 million views on this channel. Let me check on this PDQ and see where they at right now. PDQ. Salute to them, and salute to them for participating in this episode. Look at the analytics right now. So right now they're at 9,853. So sometime tonight it's going to cross that 10,000. Just over this past month, it's just been lighting it up. They've been getting a lot of comments, and so we got a chat going on over there in that docuseries. So I encourage y'all to go back and check that out. It's all positive. It's all good. Those my guys, they helped out, so I appreciate that. And also, the Sheik, that story been lighting it up on the channel too. So those two been going neck and neck. The Sheik and PDQ, they like battling it out. So I get a lot of comments on that one too. The Diddy trial, I was on live earlier today, and they had one of his former girlfriends. She testified and all that, but I want to check on this Antoine Massey. And this the guy that made that plea looking for help from Trump and all of that. And I don't think they called him yet. Not helping them look for him, but he was interesting. Let me see any updates on him. Police investigated another social media post by Escape. So according to them, he made some other posts. And he don't need to keep doing that. That's when you get to the point where you taunting them. And they say the manhunt enters his 4th week. So he's been gone for like a month now. Really? That story is posted like 12 hours ago. So I don't see nothing really recent as of now. So obviously he's still a fugitive. Let me check some of this right here. But yeah, he don't need to keep making the social media posts and all of that. That's not a good idea. Let me move off that. Yeah, that's not a good idea to keep making social media posts if you're on the run. That's when you get to the point where you're taunting them. The only way you can make it out of that, really, you have to go to another country. You got to seek asylum. And you have to have a plan in place for that. And these guys probably didn't have any plans in place when they broke out of there. So let me look at this. This is from 12 hours ago. No new arrest. I think the other guy's still on the run too. Looks like he's supposedly. Hold on, it jumped somewhere else. Looks like he posted a picture on social media. Let me share this screen so y'all can see this. Let me share this screen. So let me go back here. I just share the screen so y'all can see it yourself. There we go. Dismiss that. So this is on NOLA.com. So I was, and this is from 12 hours ago. My name is Antoine Massey. I'm innocent. 10 hours ago. I guess this picture of him. And I don't know what he got going on. He got a Houston Rockets outfit. Looking clean, if you ask me. Instagram photo appears to show escaped inmate Antoine Massey. Who knows? Is that him or not? Who knows? But they, according to these people, they think it is him. The manhunt for the remaining 2 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Parish jail has entered day 22. The other guy been staying off the radar. And another social media post allegedly showing Antoine Massey is turning heads. Yeah. So like they said, this is an alleged. So we don't know if this actual factual. Massey, 32, along with convicted killer. That's the other guy, remains at large. It has been well over a week since the last arrest of inmates who fled the lockup. You know, and they try to profile these type of people, and they figure that you'll run out of resources. You're gonna get tired. And looking at this picture, he don't look tired to me if that's supposed to be him. But they expect that. They expect that you want to make irrational decisions. And when people be on the run, they tend to rob people, do other heinous crimes and things of that nature. And that's what they're expecting from this guy. But he don't look like he about to go rob nobody. He don't look. If this is him, it's probably not, because you know they got all kind of tools that can make him be on somebody else's body or whatever. But he don't look distressed. He don't look tired. That's for sure. This guy don't. If that's him. But that's what they expect when you go on a run. They expect you're going to be desperate, hungry, cold, sleeping outside. That guy don't look like he's sleeping outside, for sure. But again, I ain't trying to help them catch him. That's their job, you know. I'm not. And another thing you got to remember: these bounty hunters, they take those rewards, especially 50 stacks. Those bounty hunters will jump all over that. They would love to get that. There's bounty hunters all over this country. So they're all around Louisiana looking for those bounty hunters and all that type stuff. And then, you know, his family and all that type of stuff, they want that reward money. You'll be surprised who will try to get you on that reward money. You know, it'd be the people who sit around every day. They're trying to get that reward money. That's 50 stacks we're talking about. You're drawing attention to bounty hunters. And that's what we got to say about that guy, Antoine Massey. And I believe that the system is jacked up down there. And we all agree as black people or whatever, it's a double standard when it comes to the system, court system, the laws and all that type of stuff, prison system, the judicial system. We don't have no problem with believing that's corrupt or whatever, you know. And I'm not even trying to sound racist and all that. If you listen to my channel, I don't go into a lot of racism. I really don't pick no sides when it comes to the GP. So I see a few people in here. This is GP TV1 live stream. Having fun. It's Friday vibes. So I said, let's get on here and talk about some of these trending topics. And as the Diddy turns, as they call it, as I call it, this is definitely got the headlines. All the major podcasters and bloggers, they chiming in on it. You know, a lot of these bloggers and podcasters, they got large platforms, you know. Maybe not the people that follow a lot of the urban stories or whatever. Like I tell a lot of street stories on this, but it's cautionary tales. It's cautionary tales. So what's going on with the Diddler? We talked about her. Let me see what's going on. Let me see what these people talking about. Y'all got y'all something cold to drink? Have a snack or something. And let's chime in and see what these people talking about. If you want to get a shout out, your shout out will go here if you want to do that. And we're marching straight to 10,000 subscribers. Getting pretty close to 8,000 right now. And again, shout out to that PDQ docuseries. What do I see in here? Oh yeah, this is go this P. Diddy stuff and see what they're talking about. See what they're talking about with the Diddler. Let me share this screen. I need to all right.
Jane's testimony today in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Back on the stand, she testified about voyeuristic sex and drugs. Audio recordings were played, texts were read. What were the main points of her testimony, though? How does it potentially fit into the prosecution's case? And how was the jury reacting to her? Law and Crime's in-court reporter Elizabeth Milner is back with us to break it all down. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, so you heard me lay it all out there. Jane back on the stand today in Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial out of New York. Federal court testified about how Combs allegedly coerced her into multiple sexual episodes with other men, right? Sex trafficking, transporting sex workers and her for purposes of prostitution, another charge. Maybe fits into racketeering conspiracy, the idea that Combs engaged in a pattern of abuse and sexual exploitation of women using his businesses and resources and staff to essentially create a criminal enterprise that was engaged in all sorts of crimes. So what were the highlights of her testimony? Did she help prove any of these charges? Maybe, I don't know, maybe not the best witness for the prosecution. You know, she claimed she was in a relationship with him right until his arrest.
I didn't think so either.
With all that in mind, I want to bring on Law and Crime's in-court reporter Elizabeth Milner,
all
who
these
is going to give us
witnesses
a
may not be
play-by-play
able.
on the biggest moments that happened today. Elizabeth, it's great to see you. Now, first of all, before we even talk about her testimony, she is testifying under a pseudonym, Jane, that's not her real name. The courtroom's
I want to say this. I don't think this witness right here was actually a good witness, especially if you're trying to prove force and coerce. I don't think that worked with this witness. And I really think they were just trying to prove that they transport the sex worker, the commercial sex worker. You can't transport them across state lines. And they establishing this stuff back there in LA. Which is this case is being tried in New York, even though it's federal, but it's New York who filed the indictment.
Sketches are actually blurring her face, but I understand in the middle of court today, it came out that what people are trying to find out who she is.
And I think starting back when Mia was testifying, as far as people who have been online trying to figure out who these witnesses are. And in Jane's case specifically, her lawyer went up there and kind of gave an argument to the judge just about YouTube and Instagram accounts that have been either trying to identify Jane or are just flat out just saying her name on the internet. And then Jane's attorney had said that no one in the courtroom did it, but as far as her concern, she seemed very concerned about this as far as people trying to find out who she is, people talking about who she is, and understandably there are kind of identifiable traits inside the transcripts inside where people might be able to kind of
this is what you're going to get out of this. Let me pause that. I want to switch this screen, and this is what you're going to get, this type of stuff. Let me share my screen on this. Let me see where it go. Here we go. This is what you're going to get. You see this guy right here? That's the Punisher. See, he already doing interviews. So people going to find out who all these people are. They're going to come up with books. They're going to do interviews. They're going to have a podcast. People are going to build careers off of this story right here. You see, it's male escort. It's on Vlad TV. He comes up with a lot of these interviews. Male escort Punisher details his first freak off with Cassie and Diddy. I don't know if he's getting paid for this interview or not, but this is the results. A lot of these people going to do podcasts. They hide who they are right now while they're in there, you know. But that's what you're going to get. But let's switch back to this other girl and see what she's talking about what happened in the court today. She does a great job. I like her.
But as far as the entire judge's order in the first place, the order is that you cannot talk about this particular witness. Now, as far as what the judge can do to kind of ramify maybe the damage that has been done, he's looking into it, and I believe that Jane's defense attorney is going to submit a letter just kind of going more in depth about it. But you always have to kind of wonder to yourself, Jesse, how much can the judge do? For example, if somebody is commenting on it, they live in Ohio or Oklahoma or just some other area that's not in New York City, just how much of a reach can a judge's order really do in this particular case? And I think it's one of the problems that is coming up in a trial this big with its very high profile and just the impact that it could have.
I think the main concern is if somebody in that courtroom is leaking information. That is the number one concern, and hopefully that is not the case. The judge can definitely do something about that. Okay, I want to get back into her testimony. And look, one of the individual charges that Sean Combs faces is sex trafficking with respect to Jane. Force, fraud, coercion. What were some of the examples that you saw that would support, I don't know if necessarily force, but maybe fraud or coercion for the prosecution's case? Because there was a lot of information today, and I actually was trying to pick out pieces that might support.
Tired of having to stream in 720p in StreamYard or having to pay more to get 1080p quality? We got you. Start using EVMux, which is a web-based live streaming tool that allows you to be able to stream
the prosecution's case, and then we could talk about maybe some weaknesses. But what were parts that you think support the prosecution's case that this was sex trafficking?
Well, I think as far as the prosecution goes, I think they're really kind of honing in that it's sex trafficking by fraud specifically. So, for example, if Jane is making text messages or sending text messages or writing even voice notes to herself or writing them out in her phone, because we all know we have that iPhone notes app inside our phone, that she's explaining that Diddy, or Sean as she refers to him while on the stand, was a pathological liar, that he would lie to her about things as far as she was under the impression that the two would be just spending time together, and then what would turn out was that they would end up having these hotel nights or debauchery nights or freak off just for not even like
these females were in love with this guy.
An hour or two, not even for 30 minutes, nothing like that. For the lowest, I think, amount she had said was 12 hours, and the longest going for 3.5 days. And so I think the prosecution is really trying to hone in that this wasn't sex trafficking necessarily by force or coercion, but more specifically under fraud. And under one of the arguments that they were making towards the end of the day, they did kind of verify that they believe that this is sex trafficking by fraud. And so there are other examples too that could possibly go into maybe force or coercion, that being that Jane had always wanted these escorts, or the entertainers as she calls them, while on the witness stand, to wear condoms, and that Diddy didn't necessarily like that. He preferred that these men would just be doing it unprotected in a sense, and there were times where Jane did seem apprehensive about doing these freak-offs or hotel nights or debauchery nights with certain.
I have figured out what this freak-off stuff is. Those freak-offs is basically porn videos. And that's why he's not actually participating in this sexual act. He's hiring people to actually perform the acts while he sit on the side. So to him, that's like watching a porn. And I have my times where I watch some porn and all that stuff. And one of the things they do use in porn is baby oil. they definitely use baby oil in those porn videos. And that's basically what he was doing. He's setting up a porn scene. That's basically what that is. But they complain about the elements he's putting together to have these porn videos he's making. That's basically what he's doing. He's making porn videos. Let's go.
So there was one time where she said that one man was brought in and that she found him kind of unattractive and was kind of repulsed by him. He was sweating all over her. She just, again, wasn't attracted to him, and she wanted kind of Diddy to like kick him out. And she did.
Hey, y'all know women hate that. We'd have had our times when we went our length with women. And most people say they wouldn't go no 2-3 days. I mean, you definitely got to be on some type of drug or something to be going that doggone long. Like, you know, but I had, and we all as men and women had our long streaks with women. And I had my times where I was doing a lot of sweating and all that. And my partner did not like that. So I can understand that part or whatever. But obviously she didn't like these men he was bringing in to
didn't want to do this, but instead of him just leaving, I mean, he did end up leaving, but then another man was brought. So it seemed like, I think what they were trying to go for is that even if she didn't want to do it, even if she wasn't attracted to or didn't want to have sex with these particular men or escorts, that instead of just dismissing this person, just ending the night just there, it would just continue on, or he would just get somebody else to do it. She explained that she would cry after hotel night. She said one time she thought that she and Diddy were just doing a date night. This was the beginning of their relationship, and then they did an 18-hour hotel night, and at the end Diddy said that he had to leave, and she said,
"Are you serious? You thought you were going to go out on a mogul, and you coming out of nowhere?" I ain't trying to talk about her status. You come up on a person, they doing well and they love you, getting a relationship, all good. Hey, fucking great. I say kudos to you, you know, kudos, you know. But at the same time, you're not really bringing nothing to the table to a mogul, and you expect him to go out on a romantic date with you. Something's wrong with you. But anyway, that's not me. He got
I just didn't want him to leave me like that, especially after doing this very long sex session, which she also referred to as performances, that she would just be performing because she loved him and that she just wanted to make him happy. And then she gets kind of emotional and chokes up a little bit on the witness stand where she was like, I didn't.
She was just so in love.
Want him to leave me like that alone. I was so high that night. It was just a bad memory. And again, she's kind of crying about this while on the stand. And so Jane said that she cried even in front of Diddy at the Waldorf Hotel in Beverly Hills. And Diddy looked at her and was like, "Are you crying?" And Jane explained that this was in a disgusted face that he was making. She said there was another time when she cried after a hotel night. She said,
"That's supposed to be Diddy. If you look at her, let me rewind this back a little bit. You look at her, she weeping like a mug right here. Y'all remember that term, mug? You go back to Diddy, he look like he don't give a damn. He trying to get the hell out of there. Look at Diddy. He look like he don't give a damn. Am I wrong here? She weeping, he looking like, what? I'm trying to get the hell out of here. You trying to lock me up.
She said that there was another time where she had cried after a hotel night. She said she was in the shower with Diddy and she felt herself kind of blacking out. She said that they were at his house. Next thing you know, we were at a hotel. I was high. I embraced his butler. Then I was having sex with Paul, and Paul is an escort. And that Sean, aka Diddy, was telling her to stop crying because he was high and just didn't enjoy that. And so it seemed like from Jane's point of view that she really, kind of similar to Cassie, just continued to do drugs and rarely did these freak off sessions or hotel nights sober. She recalled maybe 2 instances of starting them at least sober, and then because she was just kind of disgusted with herself and disgusted just with the whole process of it, she ended up taking a pill, and that pill likely being an ecstasy pill. And so it seemed like maybe the government does have that kind of working for them as far as going to count 4 specifically of sex trafficking pertaining to victim 2 or Jane. And so it seems like those are kind of the arguments evidence that we've learned so far. We still have a whole nother day of direct, so I'm sure we'll learn a lot more soon.
By the way, we plan to continue to providing you this Diddy coverage. We're going to give you recaps. We're going to break down these legal issues that happen almost every day in court. And one of the reasons we can do this and bring you this content is because we get amazing support from our incredible partner and sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest.
Doing a commercial right there.
You're not going to believe what happened. Tell me everything. I'll show you. On Monday.com. So I started the biggest initiative of the
to show she was vocalizing she did not want to be a part of this, right? What were
Common sense says don't get weighed down by travel nonsense. Book with dollar instead.
We are not a traditional cafe. We're completely unconventional. And my book's website really has to capture the same magic.
The substance of these text messages?
Here we go.
So we did see a lot of text messages, especially towards the end of the day. So, for example, we didn't see because they are not showing the exhibits while Jane is testifying, but we did hear about one text message from November 22nd of 2021 where Jane was saying, I'm definitely feeling some type of way because she saw Diddy with another woman, saw this through their Instagram stories. I guess Diddy and this other woman were at his gym, at her studio, and Jane says, I was jealous and felt mistreated while he was giving this woman quality time that she was asking for. At this point, she says that, and again, this is pretty early on into their relationship, where she was explaining that she just kind of felt used and only used particularly for these hotel nights. So Jane was under the guise that another man would be around them and that she didn't want this. She just wanted quality time with Sean Combs, but instead always another man was brought, and that normally being an entertainer or an escort. And so Jane in one text says, you just wanted a Dawn and a Sly moment, Dawn being one of the escorts, Sly being another name or the kind of state.
She thought she wanted some romantic one-on-one time with this guy.
Name that Cabral uses, another man that was used during these hotel nights. Jane said to Sean Combs, I see what I'm turning into in your eyes. And then she also told him, I need a breather and a break from you. I hope you two have a great Thanksgiving. This doesn't make me feel good at all. And again, always paraphrasing because these notes or these text messages go by so fast. And then we see another exhibit where she's sending, it's a voice note from Diddy to Jane where she's like, so she asked me to work out. She just came back to work. He said, I told you have one more time to do this. And then we saw more text exhibits where Jane says, I don't even effing care who you're with. You say that you miss me and you want to see me, but you're lying. You just want me for hotel SHIT. She said she felt like she was the one who had to take it all on. And by take it all on, it was the one who was being the one who an escort was on top of her body and doing things to her specifically, that she was kind of having to carry the brunt of just these hotel nights as opposed to Diddy in a way who just kind of got pleasure from this. And so Jane also said in a text message, it's not me you miss or want. And then we see another text exhibit, this one from February 5th of 2022, where Jane says, baby, should I wear white or black dress? Diddy says black. Jane and Diddy were getting ready for her birthday and she just wanted to hang out, but ended up at a hotel night with Leo. Jane was explaining during this text message that she was
That's what you was there for. You wanted him to be your boyfriend.
Hi, she was in love with her partner, so she was okay with this escort or entertainer named Leo kind of impeding on her birthday. We see another text message from just a couple of days later on February 11th of 2022 where Jane says that Diddy began dating another woman. It was heartbreaking for her, and that she saw that Diddy was celebrating this woman's birthday after he just spent her birthday with her. And Jane told Sean Combs, I don't know how we'll make it out of this. I don't know if I'll ever do another hotel night with you. Then we see some notes from months later, those being on November 26th of 2022, where Jane says, I've been waiting for you to do what you promised me. We both deserve love, and I don't feel it. I don't want to do drugs for days and days. The freaky, wild desires in hotel rooms with you.
Hey, I don't mean to laugh at this stuff, man, but this is very entertaining. And I know it can be traumatizing for some of these people, but man, this particular chick is not a good witness. Let's just keep it 1,000 with that. This just sounds like a chick that was just terribly hurt. You know, her testimony is just entirely too emotional. You know, so I don't think they using this witness as one of those coercion, force type things or whatever. And she wanted him to be her boyfriend. She wanted to be his girlfriend. That's like entirely impossible, you know. I don't know what concoct in your mind that you're going to be this man's girlfriend.
We see another exhibit of a note, and these are notes that Jane is kind of taking on her phone, and they're kind of like diary entries, as the defense kind of pointed out, outside the presence of the jury. But she would sometimes send these notes, or also kind of like diary entries, and send them to Sean Combs. And so we saw another note from December 12th of 2022, and Jane always paraphrased.
Y'all in the building, please click the like button. It don't cost anything to click that like button. It's very free. And also click that notification bell. It helps the channel spread. And your support means the world to me.
Raising here, Jane saying something along the lines of, but for what? You took another girl on a date. You wanted to do hotel nights for debauchery. You want me to put you to bed. You have me locked in a hotel room. I'm done being used by you. And she explained that it was really hurtful to see Sean Combs do other things.
Oh, man. Like I said, y'all got to excuse me. Y'all got to excuse me. Y'all got to excuse me. That stuff sounds funny right there. Again, this is just not a good witness. Let's go.
Other women that she wanted to do. She kind of felt like she was just being used for these particular nights, and if she wasn't used for these particular nights, then somehow, some way, another man would be brought. And so we're seeing.
I'm sorry to tell you, lady, you were being used for these particular
photo
nights.
Exhibits, or not, we're seeing photo exhibits because we can't see photo exhibits, but we're hearing about these exhibits where you hear photos about Jane and Diddy for her birthday. Then you see some texts from February 11th and 12th of 2023 where Jane is saying, "Why'd you lie to me?" Diddy left her in a room and then went on.
If I'm not mistaken, this woman was messing with Diddy all the way up until he got arrested. I think this is that woman.
Trip with another girl that he was dating, and Jane getting really emotional while on the witness stand is saying things like this broke her heart, that she felt left at these hotel rooms. And then you see more messages where Jane is saying, it felt like you used me to get off, then you go on a trip. I couldn't get out of this constant movie. And she felt like these constant movies that she was talking about were just her having to go through these hotel nights day in and out, it felt like, from her perspective. And then Jane says, you knew how tired I was after being with 3 men in one of these hotel nights. And then she went and saw that Diddy was on a trip with another woman, and it was to the only place that she even really wanted to go, and that was.
I want y'all to pay attention to how Diddy looking at this chick. She crying. He looking like he don't give a damn.
Caicos, where they had this really lovely trip, according to her, when they were in the beginning of their relationship. But then it seemed like a place that she wanted to go back to, and she wanted to go back to it with Diddy specifically, and only those two. However, it seemed like from Jane, she was really upset and heartbroken, according to her, that he was going on the one place that she wanted to go to back with her then boyfriend, and he was there with another woman. And so Diddy had responded, well, let's not do this anymore. He's tired. I'm tired of you throwing sex in my face. Let's just be friends. And again, Jane's getting pretty emotional.
Oh, you still trying to hang on, though.
Testimony. And then Diddy had texted her, hello and good morning after.
Friendship is not going to work, honey. You go around this guy, you're doing hotel nights.
Their brief breakup, and that she said she didn't respond for nearly 2 weeks. So it seems like from her end, and I think what the government was trying to do is really kind of show that she, one, cared for him, and I think she's kind of making that pretty obvious while on the witness stand, but also that it seemed like that she was only used for one particular thing. And so it's going to depend on the jury whether or not they believe that kind of goes to sex trafficking, forced fraud, or coercion, but it's up to them to make that decision.
This is the feds. They don't need a lot of physical evidence. Basically, the jury just got to believe the testimony or not.
Yeah, literally. Either it's a toxic relationship, or what the prosecution is hoping to say, he was using manipulation, deceit.
I don't think this was toxic. I think she just wanted this guy to be her boyfriend, and he was not about to be your boyfriend.
Lies to induce her to engage in sexual acts.
She wanted to have a one-on-one relationship. She was emotionally broken because of that.
With sex workers. And one of the things that they kept focusing on multiple times throughout the testimony today, it's almost like they had to keep reminding the jury.
So when a client comes to us with an ask to launch an influencer marketing campaign, the process is pretty streamlined. So what we'll do.
he's paying for your rent, right? He's paying for your rent, right? He's paying for your rent. Didn't they mention that multiple times about him paying for her rent, and paying for things for her? Because if you're using financial control to induce somebody to engage in sex acts, similar to what they said with Cassie, that felt like what was going on there. Am I wrong that they kept mentioning? And by the way, I could be completely wrong about this. Did they say that he's still paying her rent, or am I totally off about that?
Not totally off. I think that was kind of one of the shockers from the testimony today, but I do want to kind of go back just a little bit because it all kind of fell under the umbrella of this love contract where it's kind of like a gentleman's agreement between Jane and Sean Combs, where
Let me share this
he would
story
give
on
her a
X.
monthly allowance, and that monthly allowance was $10,000 a month. Now,
there were
initially
two
she said
followers over
that
there.
she asked for $15,000 a month, which is, again, this is a month, everyone. This isn't just every few months. It's like every single month.
Oh, you
But guess how
paying
much
your
her
rent,
rent is?
huh?
It is $10,000, which is a lot of money. And Jane said that she used the budget or the allowance for her rent because that total is the entire rent. But yeah, she had said, Jesse, that she had a contract for 2 years, and so they made this love contract with one another in March of 2023. Even though we're in May of 2025, she said that Diddy still pays her rent, and I think that's pretty notable given that he is still behind bars at MDC Brooklyn and probably paying a lot of money to attorneys right now, given that he's on a trial for he's on his criminal trial right now. But as far as Jane's explanation,
he's still paying your rent? What? As the Diddy term.
she said that she
Diddler.
wanted him to match the time that we had already spent in her relationship. So she was explaining that they were already in their relationship for about a 2-year period. All the time that she had spent with these escorts, doing these hotel nights, she just wanted, I think, that time and that money back, more certainly. And so I'm surprised that she said that this contract that they had with one another was for 2 years, because if you're looking at the date of when they kind of agreed upon this, they passed the 2-year mark. So I'm curious to know why he is still continuing to pay her rent. But it did seem like the prosecution was saying that it wasn't just the rent that he paid for, that Diddy also didn't like her teeth, and so he ended up paying for her to get new veneers, and that he gave her money for the furniture, and that she ended up opening 3 credit cards.
like
She
her
went into
teeth.
debt, and so maybe that also kind of plays into that there was a kind of a financial gain or aspect from this, but I don't know if it'll work better for the defense or for the government at this point.
Yeah, right. So if you're talking about a commercial, something of value that's promised or
That's your
given, but
teeth
also if you
fixed.
read from the indictment, it's like he controlled their financial well-being. He controlled.
So I'm saying, he paying for you to get your teeth fixed. He paying your rent every month, and he continued to pay it while he's locked up in jail. What are you bringing to the table? What, he supposed to just give you money? That's the part I'm not getting right there. I don't know. Maybe y'all can explain that to me. If he's paying your rent, getting your teeth fixed and doing all this stuff, and this is not cheap rent. Like, everybody's not paying $10,000 or $15,000 in rent. What are you doing to bring something to this relationship? That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm wrong for saying that or not, but that sounds peculiar to me. I don't see nothing you bring to this table. You all emotional. You keep wanting to be in this relationship with him, and he's showing you, nah, we ain't got no, y'all got this contract and all that, but he's sure not, his behavior don't show that, you know. So now if he stop paying that rent, then what? But that's just me. That's just what I personally think. Let's
Their
go.
physical appearance, control's a big aspect when we talk about sex trafficking. By the way, you mentioned an audio recording.
Anyway, yeah, I think they got some video. I think she on one of those videos
for the jury and for the gallery.
So we did hear some audio notes, and these audio notes were from the defendant himself, that being Diddy. So I'm curious to know how the jury kind of interpreted these audio notes, mainly because when Diddy's inside that courtroom, while yes, he was kind of looking into the jurors, we don't hear from him very much. And so while he's sitting at the defense table in his sweaters, his undershirts, his slacks, I'm wondering how they thought listening to these audio messages, because we don't hear from him vocally while the trial is going on. And so we heard one audio note from Diddy where he says, "I'm not going to be playing these games with you. I don't have time for these games. Get on your job. I was trying not to leave this message. Ain't no threat. I can't do this with you every time you're upset. I'm going to disappear on you and you'll have a rude awakening. And so as far as the get on your job, Jane was testifying that she believed that he had meant get on your jobs as far as doing these hotel nights. As far as her being in for a rude awakening, she thought that meant that he would take things away from her. Those things being the rent that he paid for her, the roof over her head that she lives at. It was a place that she lives at with her child. And so we see another audio note. But let me just kind of go back a little bit where Jane was saying that it felt really cold getting this. She thought that Diddy was going to cut her off. And then Diddy wrote in a text message after sending this audio note, "Get back to loving me now, LOL." Always paraphrasing here. He said a little bit more at the beginning of that. And then Jane responded, "You've been making these feel transactional." And Jane said again that Diddy brought up her rent. And she felt like it was a guilt trip kind of feeling getting these types of messages from him. Then we hear another audio note where Diddy.
I see a few people in here. I want to thank you for joining me. Click that like button while you're here. It don't cost anything to click that like button.
"You don't know how to move on. My tone is like this because I'm just waking up." And that, to Jane's point, it was another kind of instance where Diddy was threatening to take her rent away and kind of leave her in a position where she would either have to carry that $10,000 a month rent or have to find another place to live, because if the man that is paying her rent is kind of telling you he's not going to be, I feel like she was kind of a little bit concerned about that from her end.
I want to talk also about now the weaker parts of her testimony when it comes to sex trafficking, because the big question is, was it properly communicated, the lack of consent, or the alleged or the perceived lack of consent? I have to tell you, there were parts of it that I'm not entirely sure. It wasn't as if, at least this point in the testimony, that, he grabbed her by the hair and threw her back in the room after she said no, or he directly threatened her. What were some of the parts of her testimony that you said, that might be a problem, that might be something that's exploited by the defense? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think one of the instances that might tie into the RICO was just the fact that the assistants set up these hotel nights. There was one picture that we didn't see, but we heard about it from Jane's description, where she's here in New York City, or I think it might have been Los Angeles, one of the two cities, that she was waiting outside of the hotel room, waiting for Diddy, and that the assistants were up in the hotel and that they were getting the room ready. So in the photograph, according to her description of it, because unfortunately we can't see these exhibits, she was saying that you could see the red lights, and these were normally the lighting that they would use during these hotel nights or debauchery nights, that sort. And then there was another instance where Jane was explaining some of the exhibit photos that only she could see, only the jury could see, where there was a person who was Diddy's assistant, and his name was Brendan, and that Brendan would bring pills and bottles, and then that Jane would see cocaine, she would see ecstasy, and that she explained that security would also get drugs if they ran out of drugs. And I think one interesting thing is that Jane carried drugs for Diddy twice. She says in 2022 from Los Angeles to Miami, Diddy had told her something like, he said if I could pick up a package before the flight. But she also spoke to Christina Koram about this package over the phone, and she said that Christina Koram said, "Hey, just come, I'll have security give it to you." Jane had testified that Christina had told her, "It's fine, I do it all the time." And I thought that was kind of an interesting point. She was, she being Jane, was explaining that this package was wrapped in a white envelope. She put it in her luggage. She checked the.
Now that's not good. That's not good at all. Yeah, I got my attention on that part.
Back at the airport, like we all do, maybe just without the drugs. But when we go visit the airport, and she said when she had landed, when she saw Diddy, that she gave him the drugs at his Miami home in the bathroom, and that these pills were ecstasy. And so I think maybe as far as RICO goes, I think they're really kind of trying to build into that, even though we're not hearing as much about the assistants as we might have done when Cassie was testifying. I think they are kind of laying out some puzzle pieces here and there as far as just what roles the assistants, whether it be Brendan, whether it be another assistant, whether it even be Christina Koram, that they also kind of played a role in either helping Jane get drugs over to Diddy if she was across the country, or just setting up these hotel nights, knowing what was going to go down at these particular places.
No, I actually think that might help the prosecution, right? If they're trying to prove maybe predicate underlying crime.
Yeah, that's a blow right there, And I sort of been I'm not choosing Diddy's side or whatever. I just like to see stuff play out in the court. You know, I like to see lawyers battle it out, the chess match that goes on in the court. I like to see that. So if the defense is doing a good job, I'll say kudos to them. I'll let you know the defense is doing a good job. But when the prosecution doing a good job, I'll let you know they're doing a good job. And all this stuff based upon, it's a chess match, but you got to have good lawyers, though. You know, and I think a lot of us, especially from the hood, we get railroaded when we go in these court systems without sufficient counsel. You know, and a lot of this stuff because we can't afford these type of lawyers. So yeah, but yeah, that's a blow right there. And it's probably good for the prosecution on that one. So I didn't think this girl was a good witness for the prosecution.
Of, let's say, drug offenses, and you know they're talking about transporting drugs across state lines, and you're having Sean Combs' Inner Circle do it. That you know that might help racketeering, and the more they talk about the assistants and the team, and I still believe Christina Corm's going to testify. I don't know for sure, but
I think that part does prove the racketeering. So you transporting drugs across state lines, that's not good.
That she will.
I've recently come to learn that a lot of founders and marketers don't quite know how to look up the competitors' marketing strategy.
But in terms of sex trafficking and in terms of the idea of a lack of consent, there were certain parts where it seemed to me that, you know, she was expressing her dissatisfaction with certain sex workers, or maybe she was on her period, and she basically expressed this to Combs.
No.
He didn't necessarily force her to continue having sex in those episodes, right? I mean, if we're talking about a lack of consent and forcing her to do it, weren't there moments that seemed not great for the prosecution?
So we heard about a number of exhibits where these escorts' photographs were shown to the jury and obviously shown to the witness, that being Jane. And so there was one exhibit where it was Dawn the escort, and that she and Diddy had used them up until August of 2024, and that's notably a month before his arrest. There was Paul the escort, and she had been using him from 2021 up until the last time, and that being July of 2024. That he was a personal trainer, he trained Diddy, but he also worked for Cowboys for Angels. You saw him in places like Los Angeles and Miami and Turks and Caicos. There's Leo the escort, met him in 2022 on her birthday, saw him up until 2023. They used him every so often.
Okay, we know he didn't coerce you or force you and all that type of stuff. And you were still messing with him up until his arrest. So, but I don't know if she's going to get back on the stand as far as Monday goes next week. Maybe the defense going to ride her some more or whatever. But that woman right there, certain parts of her testimony probably works for the prosecution, and other parts of her testimony works for the defense on that one. So you probably got to go split with that one. But by him getting her to transport those drugs from California to Miami and all these other places, that's not a good look right there for him. So I don't know, but I think they've been proved their case, in my opinion. They got 4 more weeks to go. They still got other witnesses to call. And I was sort of waiting to see when they were going to talk about those drugs and that type of thing. So we'll see. We'll see. We still puzzled that this guy is the only one on trial. That's why I say about the R. Kelly case. Like, why is he the only one on trial? You got to believe that those other people turned witness. They never got no particular label like unindicted people. So, but yeah, that's what it seems like in this case. These people had turned to a witness, and the feds are scared to be heebie-jeebies on this. But you know, all this stuff is set up to take Diddy down. So whatever kind of way, whatever kind of method, it's all about taking the diddler down. I've never been a true fan of Diddy. I've said that time and time again. But anyway, that's the end of this live stream. This is GPTV1. I want to thank y'all for joining me. It's been fun. It's the Friday vibe. About to chill out, parlay, relax, kick it, listen to the playback myself, and y'all can go to the channel, check out some of the other content. I do got my membership set up, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out. One love. Stay blessed.